Hello, my name is Cynthia, and today I will be going over a really straightforward tutorial of just getting any local model. It really depends on your PC specs up and running on your computer. For this, we are going to be focusing on LM Studio. I already have it installed on my machine, but I will be going over what website you have to go to, things to keep in mind when selecting a model to download and then try to run in your machine, and actually showcase some of the apps that I created specifically for my local AI setup, so that way you can actually see the models interact with me, not just in LM Studio, but also in a custom interface, so an app that I basically custom created or coded with AI assistance. So let's go over just a quick few things here. Why would someone want to run a model on their machine or whatever? And this is just one of my apps. Like I said, this is one of the apps I actually coded with AI. It's called Netsys. This was maybe a month ago, and I already took it out from GitHub, so it's not even on my GitHub account anymore because I wasn't really going to make any more changes to it. But that would be featured and used when we download some models or use the ones I currently have on my machine. We are going to get rid of that, and this, and that's my channel, and this, and that. So, why would anyone want to run a model locally on their machine? There's a ton of reasons, honestly. One, privacy. Let's be honest, the cloud models are powerful. They are. But you are submitting your data to these corporations, and they are using it as training data for these models. That's the reason why they're able to scale so quickly, and that can be a cause for concern. Another thing is, because of how rapidly this field is evolving, a lot of times, a lot of the corporations, which is not really their fault, they tend to kind of sunset previous models. And so let's just say you had like a workflow or a project that you were working on with a particular model. And I mean, the one model that comes to mind is ChatGPT 4. Let's just say you had a lot of projects with that particular model, and then OpenAI went ahead and just sunset it, right? Well, your data is lost, and there's nothing you can do about it unless you knew beforehand to back it up. That is definitely another reason to do that. Another reason is just, and this is more of a positive side for local AI, it's a lot faster. When you're interacting with these cloud models, the data actually gets transferred over to the data center, processed by their machines, and then sent back to you. And if there's any hiccups in the traffic, it could take longer and it can waste your time. And then finally, there's the customization. Especially for someone that has, some people call it vibe coding, some people call it AI assistant coding, whatever you want to code it. If you can understand the basic bridges of building the components of the application, how it's supposed to talk to the model, how the interface looks like, how does it interact with different files or different types of files on your computer, then there's a lot of things that you can do, and you don't need a cloud model. But I'm not going to get over that. I just wanted to go over briefly reasons that you would want to run a local model. But like I said, it's going to be LM Studio. So let's just say this is your very first time doing this. Let's go with LM Studio. This is their website, and you're going to come to this page first. And let's just say you're running Windows. You click on it, unless it doesn't want to. Of course it doesn't. There we go. And then you would just download their installer. Oh, and you're probably wondering, oh wow, her internet is trash. I'm currently located in another country right now. That's part of the reason why my internet is sort of meh. But obviously you guys over the US, or at least most of you, are going to have a much faster internet connection than me. But anyways, once that's finished, you basically run through the installation, and eventually you get LM Studio on your desktop. I already have it running on my machine, so I'm just going to pull it up. And this is just one of the models, but let's just ignore this for now. So how is it going to look when you first set it up? You're not going to get models. It's going to be empty. And every time you install this on the machine, you will basically have a folder under users and then your username and then .lm studio, and then finally a folder called models. You're going to get a bunch of stuff. But here's the main focus. This is where any models that you download via LLM Studio are going to populate. They're going to appear here. Another thing, you don't have to use LLM Studio to download models. You can totally go to Hugging Face and download whatever models you want. But for this instance, and if you know this is your first time doing it, we're just going to do it from LLM Studio. So these are the models I have, and you're allowed to rename the folders. You can even rename the model itself. You can call it whatever you want, honestly, and it would actually populate in LLM Studio. But anyways, but when you first set it up, it's going to be empty. So let's just say, okay, I want to get a model. We got to shop around. And so we start looking around. Now, I'm not sure of the latest update. I still have to update my version. But they do have a feature where if you select, let's just say one of these, right? It would tell you right then and there if you can fully offload it on your GPU or if you're going to struggle pogo. And you're probably thinking, what do you mean offload on my GPU? So here's the thing. When you're running a local model, there's a couple, actually quite a number of things you have to keep in mind. But the core thing is this. What is the VRAM or your GPU? Your graphics card. A lot of people recommend add minimum 8 gigabytes. I honestly recommend 12. Okay. Parameters. A lot of people are going, oh, and this is just an example. AI, what's his face? It has over 270 billion parameters. Let me download it and run it on my machine. Here's the thing. If you're running on consumer hardware, unless your specs are super high and you spend thousands of dollars on your machine, it's not going to run. You don't have enough resources to do it. And so what people have done is basically shrink the model, which is another video I'm going to go over. What it means. Quantization is basically what I'm talking about. They're just shrinking the file size while making sure that the model doesn't hallucinate that much. I mean, it's still probably going to hallucinate, but and so people have done the quantization technique and they decrease the size of these models to run on consumer hardware. And so that's what a lot of these are. Okay, so to give you an example, oh, it's downloading. Like this model right here. Focus on the size and then the quantization. But for this video, we're just going to focus on the size. This thing has 4 billion parameters. That makes this tiny. It is 2.84 gigabytes. Now, what does it mean exactly? I have a 12 gigabyte of VRAM graphics card, and it says full GPU offload possible. What this means is that this tiny little baby is going to just be chilling inside the GPU. And so when you select that model to talk to, it's going to load really fast, like instant. Okay? That's basically what it means. Now you're probably thinking, well, Cynthia, I'm not going to listen to you and I'm going to pick the bigger model because it's better. Okay, fine. Go on. When you're trying to do that, at least in LLM Studio, it's going to tell you partial GPU offload possible. Now let's do the math. I have a 12 gigabyte card. This thing is 22 gigabytes. Okay, it's kind of big. Guess what's happening? What's going to be happening with the remaining amount? It's going to chill in the RAM, and it's going to be slower. So, unless you really need those extra parameters for your use case, I highly recommend actually seeing what the heck you're going to download before you start downloading random models and then getting pissed off that they don't work. So, let's paint ourselves a scenario. I'm someone that just wants a a model that searches things on the internet, answers my questions, maybe move my files around, and I don't know, roleplay or something. Well, there's a ton of different models to choose from. So I would pick maybe Quinn because it fits my car. Look at the size. I mean, maybe Flash. I have to take the look at the size. I don't remember. Oh, there it is, right there. Well, in this case, I wouldn't really pick Flash. I would maybe pick Flash, a 9 billion parameter vision model, something. So that's basically what it is. Smaller doesn't mean dumber. Let me say that again. Smaller does not mean dumber. You have to focus on the quantization, which is another video. It's basically a different size. Q8, larger size, Q6K, slightly smaller size, and then this one, smaller size. And that will be another video that I will go forward. All right, so capabilities. What does it mean? Well, to give you an idea, and just to break it down, vision. It just means that the models can actually see the stuff that you send in. Image files, screenshots, the like. It has eyeballs, tool use. It means it can do stuff like search the internet and use different tools, like maybe an API for, let's just say, storing files on your behalf. That's just one really basic example. That's what it means to use tools, because these models, they can't just magically search the internet. You gotta give them the keys to the kingdom, basically. You have to kind of put it in the back end, or in this case, LLM Studio, and allow them access via tool use. So it just means, hey, I have the hands to be able to use the tools. You, my user, has to give me the tools so I can use them. And then finally, reasoning. What does it mean? The thinking models, the ones that love sitting there and scrolling and pasting and typing, and that's the reasoning model. It basically kind of goes step by step how it's going to respond. You see it in GPT, we have seen it in Gemini. Oh god, Gemini. Anyway, we see it in like the latest, biggest models. They have reasoning capabilities, but it also means that they take longer even if they're on your GPU. Trust me, I've tested this particular model right here. I've tested it. And I mean, unless I really need the reasoning capabilities, I would avoid it. But that's what it means. Okay. Now, we see models that only have like maybe 2 or just 1. So, we see a model that only has tool use. What does it mean? Well, that thing don't got eyes, and that thing don't got the brain. It simply means that it knows how to use the hands, and that's it. And look how tiny it is. Meanwhile, you have some like Flash that I just kind of moused over a little bit. They got the hands, they got the brain, they don't got the eyes. And then you got some weird models like this that they got the eyes, they got the hands. And then you got this model, oh, they only have the eyes. Okay, so now then, how will you select the model? You gotta think about what you're gonna be using the model for. Like, really sit down and kind of think about it. Do you really need a massive brain? Like, when people say that some of these, especially cloud-based models, have billions of parameters, we're talking about these things being trained on the literal history of humanity that's on the internet. I mean, everything. Do you really need that? Or do you just need an assistant for your job or for your private business? That's what you're gonna ask yourself. Anyways, let's just pretend you downloaded these lovely models. I know everyone's gonna have an opinion. And you're just like, okay, I got my models loaded. Now what do I do? Let's just say you're not gonna be using a custom chat interface. Let's just say you just want to talk to these models and get it started. Alrighty, let's go with Kasumi Micro. And let's All right, the contest is over. Alrighty. So, this is the chat interface. Let's just say you just wanted to talk the model right here, right now. You would go up here, and you would select your model, and then we'll load. But let's just stick with Tiny for now. Okay, and then what we are going to do is just check a couple settings. I mean, unless you're really heavy into this, kind of like I am, I would leave all of this, just leave it. And these are just the tools. So Tiny is an LLM from IBM that is specifically created to use its hands, aka using tools. And so these are all the tools that this model has access to. These two come in by default. This is one that I added by myself. When you have it toggled on and you give it a certain instruction or prompt, it would actually be able to access that tool, and you actually see it in the chat. But anyways, so you got this all sorted and you're like, well, okay, what else? You go here and you actually see your model loaded. So there's a couple ways to load the models. You can, if you're using this chat interface, right? Or if you're just using it as a server or a local host link server for your personal applications, you just need to have the server running, set up the settings and stuff. In this case, I'm just going to keep this. But then you have to start looking over at the contents window. So, contents. I'm not going to go over it in this video, but we will increase it. And I do have 32 gigabytes of RAM with a 3060 RTS 12 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's able to handle that just fine. And also the model is like tiny. But we're going to set this up preemptively. And then we're going to go back to the chat interface. And then we're just going to type something to the model. Hey. And if only my keyboard could stop it. There we go. Hey. Can you say hi to everyone? There you go. So, your model responded. Great. So, let's just say you want to go with LM Studio. You can also use Ollama. I believe that's actually more popular with the local cloud. I personally prefer LM Studio. That's just me. But you can see how many tokens it took, and look how many tokens that message took. Only 59. And it responded in how many seconds? Now, let's think back to, let's just say Gemini GPT. You know damn well that they don't respond within 2.9 seconds. And it tells you how many tokens per second is actually processing. So that's actually pretty impressive. But yeah, let's just say you wanted for it to use a tool. You would just toggle it right there, and then you give it like a certain command to have it actually use the tool. At least from my experience, if you're using a tool that wasn't downloaded directly via LM Studio, the chat will actually ask you if you want the LLM to actually use that tool. You just click on yes, and it just uses it. But anyways, this has been a super quick, I just want an LLM running, basic setup. System prompt, temperature, CPU, like all of that will be in separate videos. Before I end the video, however, I do want to showcase something else. So, I do understand there is a bit of a fear of, you know, people coding with AI and them not making finished products or whatever. I just wanted to showcase one that I made, and that thing is still downloading. It's funny. I'm going to actually showcase it through one of the apps. This is an application that I actually coded with AI. I call it Oracle. It has a pretty cyberpunk feel to it, sort of. But anyways, Tiny is there. One of the other apps that you saw earlier in the video, they're actually loaded here as well. I'm just going to change something really quick. There. What we are going to do, and this was also coded by me with AI as an assistant. I did this about, I think 3 weeks ago, and I took it off from my GitHub because I really wasn't going to make any more changes to it. The first version, it wasn't really compatible with like mobile devices, so I had to kind of restructure the UI to make it load as a mobile device. Anyways, I'm gonna call them tiny. We're gonna save. Now you're probably looking at this and go, why is this important? It should work. Let me check. Okay. And we're just gonna chit chat with Tiny in here. Stab it. Oh, and before I type, there, so that way you know for sure that it's not connected to the internet. All right, so why did I show you this? Because I kind of want to give you a glance behind the curtain, how a lot of these front-facing applications actually do work, and how you can actually do this yourself. But this is not the video. This concludes the instruction video on how to get LLM Studio set up, and just a teaser of just one of the apps I created with AI. I really hope it helps. If, let's just say, you need help deciding what LLM to use, you're someone that's just getting into the local AI space, you're more than welcome to message me. I do have my website. No, I'm not selling courses or any of that crap. I am trying to sell consultations or something on Upwork. But no, if you message me and you're just asking me questions, that's fine. I don't mind at all. Take care and stay safe.